So how many people here have heard of the AppExchange? I would think everybody in this room because most of you guys know us, but also because this is AppExchange for experts, so definitely more advanced. So I'm not going to go into details on the AppExchange because, as you know, very similar to the Apple Store having Apple having the App Store and Google having Google Play. Salesforce has the AppExchange, which has apps for all the different departments. And we're actually going to be talking a lot about apps for admins today, but you probably know it goes way beyond admins. So the format of today's presentation, really cool. What we wanted to think about is not only showing great, cool apps and giving secrets, but what's the what, the how, and the why. What do these apps do? How can you set them up in your org and customize them for your needs? And then what's in it for you? Why use them? So that's going to be a great format. And so the first speaker we have today is Jared Miller. He's the Director of Customer Success at Configuro. I'm actually going to stop talking and just hand it off so we can keep going and get started. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks. You're good with this.
Yes, I am.
I got this. You're good. Okay, hello. My name is Jared Miller. I'm the Director of Customer Success at Configuro. And really what that means is I kind of just get involved wherever is needed. I just make sure everything or everybody that we talk to is successful, which is a pretty neat thing. A couple apps that I want to talk about today are really apps that are meant to help our users, of course, but also really help us learn the platform and learn the ecosystem and enhance our skills. The first app I'm talking about is Sales Coach. So Sales Coach is a Salesforce Labs app. It's a free app. And really what it does is it helps drive business process and process efficiency through your opportunities. So what it's looking to do is really make sure that you can have a streamlined process and proper communication through your opportunities and through your sales cycle. The reason why I wanted to make sure that this is included is because it really helps out with any type of complex validation rules, workflow rules, things like that. So basically what you'll do is you'll add a button to the opportunity page that says Sales Coach, and you click the button and it pops up like a Visualforce window, which gives guidance based on stage. So the setup is very button-click admin friendly. So when you're looking at this app and you're going through the setup, you pick the stage, you pick what you want it to display, you pick the hyperlinks, content, anything you want it to, and it'll display it on the Visualforce page. The nice thing about this, right out of the box, you install it, you put the button on the page, it works great once you get it set up. The other thing is it's actually a really easy platform for us to start learning Visualforce Apex. We're able to look, because it's an unmanaged package, we can look at the code, see how it's operated, maybe copy and paste it and move it to a different object, which is pretty neat. So this is something that works. We know what it's intended to do, so it makes us learning Visualforce and Apex. I can read it a little better. The nice thing is that this is just another tool. So besides us learning it, once you start learning it, any object that you need to drive process, whether it's opportunities, cases, a custom object, anything that you need processed that you don't want to use validation rules, you don't want to use workflow rules because that's just going to be incredible to manage, have this as a pop-up. It'll guide your users exactly what you need to do. So as you see here, I just wanted to show kind of how simple it is to set up. So you select the stage, and you can see it's kind of hard to see, but you can see that it's got a couple fields that we need to fill out, and this is going to be our content. So it's going to be anything that you need based on record types. You could do 3 columns, 4 columns, anything you need. You add the button. You can see it says Sales Coach, and then it'll have that pop-up. Now, with this pop-up, what I did show on here is the developer window, so you could just pop it up, so you can actually change the logo, change the colors, make it more branded to your company. So it's pretty easy to use and really powerful. It's just another thing for your tool belt. Cool. So the next app, and this is actually a pretty heavy app. So this is Universal Timeline. This is actually the timeline component that you see. That's exactly what it is, and it also does scoring, which is pretty great. They call it a satisfaction aggregator. Another Salesforce Labs app, so it is unmanaged, so you can see all the code with it. But what this is looking for is if you think about your account managers, they want to know, okay, I have an account, what's the picture of the account? When was the last time we talked to them? How many times have we talked to them? How many opportunities do they have? When are they closing? This gives it a nice visual interface, so instead of scrolling through related lists, people can see it right away. The other thing that it does is it's got a complex scoring system, and they call it like a health or mood or satisfaction scoring behind the scenes, where it takes into account how many records you have, half-lives, it takes into account weightings. So anytime somebody comes to me and they have a complex lead scoring or complex opportunity scoring or even account scoring that they need, hey, that's great, I've got the timeline, but I've got this scoring. So I can use this for my scoring framework, get everything done I need, show the timeline or not show the timeline. Also, if customers who come and they say, hey, we want to see the timeline, that's great, I've got this scoring built in. I use this all the time instead of roll-up summaries and workflow rules. Because a lot of times with scoring, with trying to get when was that last activity date, you're using a roll-up summary just for other calculations. So instead of wasting that field, instead of writing those validation rule or the workflow rules to get that data in, I let this do it. So I'll put all my criteria in here, I get half-lives, I get weightings. I don't really bring that up because then you're getting really complicated, but people who do need that, it's very important. It's probably actually saved me like 70 or 80 roll-up summaries. I would say probably over the past 2 years that I haven't had to do. It saved me calls to Salesforce support without having to do roll-up summaries or get that increased. The nice thing about this is this kind of gives us an idea of what a scalable solution looks like. So behind the scenes, again, this setup is very button-click admin friendly. So we can go ahead, use it right out of the box, set up how we need to for activities and opportunities. But it also gives us an idea as to, we have to take into account with this the standard Salesforce objects, and it takes into account any custom objects that you have. So while you're using this app, you get to think, how would I use this in other places? But you also get to look at that framework and say, I get how this trigger just calculates everything behind the scenes, and I've built an interface, or this app has built the interface for you to actually control it so it could be more dynamic. When you look at developing your own custom solutions, when you're looking at this is a model that's really easy to follow. Hey, let's make the code dynamic based on records, based on objects where we're storing data. So the nice thing about this is the complex logic is built for us. We get to see it, we get to use it, we can manipulate it, but it also gives us the opportunity to learn. So the last app that I want to talk about is Workato. Now Workato is an integration tool. It's actually a super simple integration tool. So, and this will integrate with with your cloud apps. And the idea behind this is that instead of having a data scientist or a data integration specialist that you need and that's holding you up, you could do this on your own. So this is something where you bring value to your company because this tool makes it easy to have that skill set. The way that this tool works is it's actually you create a recipe. So they have it as an integration recipe, so it's kind of like you're cooking. So you have this recipe, and as you look, we have trigger and actions. Now, for those of us who are looking at it, this is pretty straightforward. It's almost a little easier to read than the workflow rules with the standard Salesforce UI. So we create these actions. It's real time. It's on demand. And the information from Salesforce goes to QuickBooks in this example, or from QuickBooks back to Salesforce. And then you have your home page, which shows you all the recipes that you have. The nice thing about this is that this is, if you use that, they have community edition. So if you use the community, it's transaction based. And if you're under a certain number of transactions, you can use this for free. So now you have this free tool in your pocket. The other thing is that people have recipes that they can share, which is pretty neat. So if somebody has already done Salesforce to QuickBooks, they can share that recipe. You could take that recipe and then customize it for maybe some particular custom fields that you have. This is probably, out of all the apps today, this is probably the easiest setup that you have. So you create a Workato account, you log into your Salesforce, you create a new connection, and you log into that connection, and you are set up. And then if there's recipes that are already out there and they're public recipes, you can just go grab them and you could be up and running in a matter of hours. If you've used if you can do a workflow rule in Salesforce, you can use this app. So now your company doesn't need to rely on a heavy integration project to get data back and forth. Salesforce can now be more powerful and you can bring that to them. The nice thing about this is besides being able to do this integration is that we get to take our understanding of business process, of how to communicate, how data flows through our company. Now we understand that. Now we're keepers of that information, which is pretty important. And it gives us more access and more exposure to other data and other people in our company. So that's pretty neat. So those are the three apps that I wanted to cover. Geraldine, I know you've had Workato experience?
We use Workato as well too. Is that on? We use Workato as well to run parts of our business with Salesforce, QuickBooks, and FreshBooks.
Yeah.
So do we.
It's free.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go. Cool.
Oh, but wait.
Oh.
Can I borrow this for a second?
Oh, yes.
We're stopping the presses because right now we are going to give away some prizes. If you've heard of what we're doing with the AppExchange, we're doing the Get App Happy giveaway. Basically, if you are wearing pins similar to mine and Geraldine's, please stand up and be recognized. I've always wanted to say that. Okay. And you are now going to win, each of you, a $100 gift card. So thank you so much for supporting the AppExchange. Very nice. Look how beautiful this artwork is. We've got the lovely Geraldine featured right there. You can see her little mug right there. So, all right, now I'll pass it off to Geraldine.
Thank you. That was the cutest thing anybody's ever done for me. It's put me on a Salesforce sticker. It's so sweet. Even my husband was impressed, and it takes a lot to impress him. So the dog's not so much. Okay, so my name is Geraldine Gray. I'm the principal at Endium. We're a small Salesforce implementation partner based in Houston. Small but mighty. We tend to take the projects that other people don't want, usually pretty sticky. Work very closely with Nick and his team to get them done. So we really do get a lot of dirty Salesforce orgs. And so a couple of the apps that we're going to be talking about are ones that we use to do some forensic examination of those dirty orgs. And by dirty, I mean like 7 years old, 5 consultants before us, sales process doesn't match anything that the salespeople do in real life, all these kinds of things. So nobody has anything documented. So that's kind of like typical sexy project, which we actually love. So the first tool that we use for doing this kind of like digging, because basically you're looking for where the bodies are buried, is Panaya Change Guru. What I really love about it is that you can use it as it's literally a forensic examination of what's going on in an org and what went on before you were there. It is like a black box, right? So one of the things that we're able to do with it, once we've just kind of installed it, straight up point and click, no code, no nothing special to go in, is that you can see which fields are being used where and which fields are driving which activities. So you can tell if there's a checkbox and you're thinking, oh, I can delete that. Hey, happy fingers. You can actually go and see if that checkbox is driving your workflow rules or if that checkbox is driving some other kind of performance. And on our projects, that means because we get the dirty projects right, that means that instead of having to spend a lot of time doing regression testing, if we install Panaya, we can just see what's going on. And so it's far, far, far less likely to break something. So stuff still gets broken, but much less, minimizes risk. So this is what Panaya looks like. Basically, you install it. This is a real customer org. Notice that the name of their approval process is called Fresh Start, as opposed to crappy go backwards in time start. So this is the project is Fresh Start. We had another project called Dyson, like the vacuum cleaner. So that's what we do, is we clean up people's poo, basically. So Panaya. Okay, so you install it. What we're looking at here is we're looking at the value of a field. We're looking at pick list value of a field. So you see stage. And we can see that if we were to change or edit stage closed one dash pending, which is the metadata, it is driving an approval process. It's on multiple reports. It's got data that's going onto dashboards. It's got validation rules, and it's got workflow rules. The next page shows us that when we dig down into it, at the bottom of the first page where it says approval process, will take you right into that approval process. See, the names are being blanked out to protect the not so innocent customer. And when we're driving down and looking at the metadata, we can actually go right into that validation rule. So a right click, open a new page, and it's going to take us right into that validation rule. Then we can see what's going on. The perfect use case for this was that we had built an approval process and we couldn't work out why. When we were testing it, it worked great. When the customer was testing it, it didn't work great. Well, you know why? Because they'd written a validation rule to circumnavigate all the approval processes. And they hadn't told us about it. And they seemed to think that we hadn't done the work properly. And so when we found this out, we were like, okay, well, do you want a validation rule, or do you want an approvals process, or do you kind of want to carry on doing what you're doing? So once we pointed this out to them, I mean, it's a security trap, right? The idea was that the approval process went through the legal team, but if you were such and such user, or such and such user, or such and such administrator, the rules did not apply to you. So this is what we use Panaya for, and we use it probably every single week on a project. So the sort of how, where, what is it's a forensic examination tool, 100% point and click, don't need to be a developer. Even I can use it, and I'm not a developer at all. Very intuitive, really easy to point out where the trouble lies ahead. There's a little bit of something kind of mysterious going on with Panaya, which is that it's not always on the AppExchange. So I put the links in here. So there's a secret link. We'll always take you to the product, but they just put it back on the AppExchange about 2 weeks ago. It is a paid app. It's $300 per user, per admin user, per month. We tend to buy it for a short-term period that we're on the project. We try to get the customer to keep it, to leave it behind, because if you're the system admin who gets left behind with this 7-year-old org, it's going to save you hours and hours and hours and hours of time and regression testing. And it's just for spring cleaning, right? So on a project where you're paying a consultant, if they're using Panaya, you can save a ton of money by having a tool like this. So the $300 sounds like $300, but actually for most consulting companies where they're charging $200 or $300 an hour, it's like 1 hour of that. That's all it is. So it's super worthwhile. Okay, so the next tool we use is also for people's smelly data is Field Trip, one of the most popular apps on the AppExchange. Been there, isn't it one of the longest running apps on the AppExchange?
Yeah, it's been there for a long time.
Yeah, years and years. Written by a Salesforce MVP before there was any such thing as being a Salesforce MVP. And it allows you to look at your data, and you can tell how many fields are populated and by which percentage and what type of field it is. So if you can't afford Panaya, this is a good help. But even if you can afford Panaya, we still use this in conjunction. So when when we're doing some spring cleaning with a customer, we'll look at the data that they have in their org, and let's say they've got 500 fields and they're maxing out on their fields. Well, we'll run Field Trip and we say, okay, fantastic, you've got 500 fields, and on 270 of them, they've got 1% of the data is populated. So, okay, this is, same customer, look at that. There's no shame here. Okay, so we're looking at, so you install it, you let it run, same as Panaya, you install it, you let it run, it analyzes your metadata, and a couple of hours later, it sends you an email and says, hey, you're done. This works exactly like any Salesforce app. So here we can see that you can click on the accounts, you can click on the opportunities. So we've clicked on the opportunities, and now it's going to tell me which fields are populated and where. And then you can actually go down into the field, and you can grab the field name as well. So if you're going to do something where you're editing the code, the field name is right there in front of you, and so you can use it as a reference. We use it all the time. Probably every week we're using this tool, every single week. So the what, why, and what's in it for me. Install from the AppExchange, 100% free. If you're clever, like Nick or Jared, you can run SOQL queries. If you're like me, no hope. You don't need any training. You don't need any support. You don't even need to read the help text that comes with it, right? You just install it and get on with it. Yeah, it's 3 clicks to run the query. So it's install it, tell it which object, get it to go, and come back when it's run. It will tell you that it's done. And it'll actually advise you that your data has been processed. But there you go, 5th most installed app on the AppExchange, and free. So it's really free for a reason. It's really, really great tool. And then, like I say, what we really use it for is to see where processes are not working. So when somebody says, hey, I think we need a field that does this, and we say, really? Because you already have the same one named, slightly different. So they say, we need one called customer assets. And it's like, just like the one that already exists that nobody's using? Yeah, perfect. So, but it gives you the data, right? You don't have to run a report and then and look at all the records and export it and count it. It actually shows you that people aren't using stuff. So it's really easy. When you see a field that's always 100% populated, it's either a system field or a required field. So that also kind of helps you pick out what's going on in your org. So our third app of the day, and this is something we use every day, we use it at Endium. We implement it for customers. We have customers that come to us because they have this tool and they want us to make it better. It's TaskRay. So TaskRay is a paid app. I think the list price off the top of my head is about $20 per user per month. It's a project management tool in Salesforce. It's got that beautiful card sorting kind of view, and we have a little video once I stop talking. We've got a video that we're going to show of it in real action. But what it's enabled us to do and what it's enabled many of our customers to do is to take all of their processes out of spreadsheets and put it into Salesforce. And the way we've been able to do that is because we have templatized their process. So this is a demo from TaskRay. So they're going to, there you go. Okay, so it's drag and drop. You can move your tasks around. The left-hand nav bar will allow you to sort, filter, view whatever's important to you. So they just selected a bunch of tasks and assigned it all to the same person at the same time, so you don't have to do any inline editing or such like. It's chatter-friendly. What I really like about it is that you can have your key tasks that are templatized, and once you've got your key tasks that are templatized, you can have these checklists. So this is showing a checklist running. And so you can have a checklist, and you can make a rule that says you can't move your task to closed until all of your checklist items are finished. And the blog on the TaskRay site will tell you how to do many of these things. But for customers who need a scalable, repeatable solution that is just going to help them run their business, especially for customers where they have an onboarding process, customers that have a deployment process. So a lot of our customers are software and high-tech customers. And those people, they know that they have to deploy their own software to their own customers. So this is the way that they can track everything that's going on with how they're onboarding all of their customers. You can have many modules. It respects record types. It respects security. We actually have our own customers sharing TaskRay in our org. So we have it set up that they can see where they are in their projects. Customers don't really care about seeing where they are in their projects. They just want to know that they can. But we have it open to them. Like, we need a timeline. Okay, we made your timeline. It's fantastic. And nobody ever looks at it. But anyway, that's the truth. So it gives you different views. You can have a Gantt chart view. You can have kind of what's important to you. You can filter it just about any which way you can slice and dice the data. But I mean, really, it's when you have a repeatable process that you need to scale. So you have one customer, you can do things ad hoc. You have 10 customers, now it starts getting unwieldy, and you've got 10 different spreadsheets, and everybody's got their own version of the spreadsheet. You start deploying data and you have 100 customers, you really need to have a way to put the data all in one place and be able to see exactly what's going on with each customer all at the same time. They also do brilliant reports, and they have one of their apps on the AppExchange is based on all of their reports. It works out really well. So this is a tool we use it at Endium for our projects, our one-off projects. We use it at Endium for our scalable projects where we've got repeatable things that we're doing. So for example, on every project, hide all those crummy report folders from the users that don't need to see them. That's kind of one of our repeatable tasks. We just have it as a checklist item. And then we use it for sharing the data with the customers. So if they want to see where we are in a project, they can, although they never do. It never takes up. So that's my 3 apps. Okay, I already talked about this. Oh, and the interface is beautiful. The last thing I would say about Bracket Labs, which are the people that make this, is that they are totally customer-driven. So they collect feedback based on what you say is what they'll build on their product. And I've seen it firsthand. We're building something for a customer now because they can't wait a year for Bracket Labs to produce it. But they are truly a customer-first product company, and they just do an outstanding job.
Thank you, Geraldine. All right, so last but not least, I know it's the end of the next to last day of Dreamforce. Everybody sees lots of yawns and lots of kind of this. So try to make it a little bit exciting. I haven't heard the word amazing yet in this session, so amazing job, Geraldine and Jaron. Amazing, it has to be amazing. This is the most amazing Dreamforce ever, right? And speaking of some great apps, but I know we have some Workato folks in the room. We use Workato as well, and they, I think, Alan, yeah, right there. Such a great customer-focused company. I mean, we use it to integrate QuickBooks to Salesforce, and I mean, just they're very proactive in reaching out and helping us be successful with it. So I wanted to give them a shout out for that. So my name is Nick Ham. I'm the managing partner of TrekBin. We are the world's largest Salesforce development partner. And what we do is work with customers like Geraldine and other Salesforce customers to build custom apps on the platform, as well as help them be more successful with their existing Salesforce implementation. So the apps that I'm going to go through today are really focused on helping extend the Salesforce platform. So get more out of the licenses that you already have by doing some things maybe outside of sales, service, and marketing. So this is actually, I think, the oldest app out of any of the apps that we'll go through today. I know that Field Trip's been there a while. This was actually when I started doing Salesforce consulting. I think this might have been the first app that I ever installed into a dev org. It's Services Project Manager. It's a free app from Force.com Labs. And I think it was released in 2006-ish. What this is it's basically a starter kit for project management. And it's not like the sexy TaskRay drag and drop things. But what it is it's really all the fundamental pieces that you need to run a professional services team or a project team. So resources, assignments, time entries, expenses, really all the financial and kind of logistics around project management. So out of the box, you get, as I just mentioned, projects. You get these custom objects. One common change that I typically always make, it is an unmanaged package, by the way. So there's no code. It's all fields and objects, very point and click friendly. But it comes with a lot of reports as well. And so the main value that you get out of this app is really time savings, right? You can really install this and have everything you need to start doing project management in a matter of a couple hours. One change that I typically always make is I don't like really the time management part of it. It has more of a time card model. I actually always change that to more of a time entry type model, but a very simple change to make. And it's a very extensible application. So as you can see kind of on the right, this is actually an example in an org where you can use it to track all kinds of other things about the project rather than just what comes out of the box, right? So there's DocuSign, or I think that was actually EchoSign at the time, agreements, change orders, relationships to other packages or project logins and case studies and all kinds of other things. So this is really just going to kind of give you the nucleus of the stuff that you need to do project management, and then let you very easily extend it to build whatever else you need to do. So as I mentioned before, no code. So you can do a ton with just really what comes out of the box in the roll-up summaries and get instant kind of project financials and profitability right out of the box. I think one of the more powerful pieces is really kind of the resource management part of it. So like you could use a TaskRay actually on top of this, right? And TaskRay is going to be really for managing the work. This package is really good for kind of managing the financials, or what are people working on, right? How many hours are they working? What are they assigned to? And being able to easily track skills and pick the right resources for projects. Main value you're going to get out of this is, again, if you tried to config everything that comes out of the box with this, it's going to take you days to do it, right? And then you got to kind of think about, what fields do I need to put on this object or this object? It gives you, kind of all that stuff, so you don't have to really think about it. And it's ready to go. It's amazing. All right, so this one is actually more amazing. So we're going in order of amazingness here. So this is another free app. This is from Force.com Labs as well. If you haven't figured out or don't know Force.com Labs, it's internal Salesforce employees that create these awesome apps and just put them out on the AppExchange for free. This used to have a managed and an unmanaged package. I think it's just a managed package now. But what Almond is it's a learning management product. And what it does is it helps you track training, right? So it's not only a place to aggregate all your training content, but it's also a way for you to create learning journeys for your employees, and then track their progress against those. So as you can see, very nice UI. It's really built with this was pre-Lightning actually, but built with a lot of the kind of Salesforce One styling, and you get that out of the box. So I call this, and I think Geraldine hinted to this in one of her tweets before this session, but this is like Trailhead for your internal company. So who's heard of Trailhead? Pretty much everybody, right? So if you haven't, then I don't think you've been paying attention this week. But Trailhead, is really a great way, and we use it internally at our company to help our employees learn more about Salesforce and the new stuff that Salesforce is doing and get better at the stuff that we already do. And this really is set up in a very similar way, where you can set up a, so for example, you might have a Force.com developer journey, right? And that journey has multiple sections that you can have different sets of training for. And then as you go through each one of those, you can attain a badge, right? And actually show that you have accomplished that. It's social within your organization. It uses Work.com actually, badging. So if you already use that, it's integrated right into that. And so you can not only track what people are doing around it, but it's also a social and collaborative way to kind of show what skills and what attainments people have. So very cool. So it is free. Love free apps. Even if it doesn't work, you didn't lose anything, right? So I definitely recommend it. One kind of trick is you do have to turn on Work.com thanks if you don't use Work.com already, but it's really just check a box, click save, and that's it. One of the really cool things that this app does that I wish more apps would do is it's kind of a complex data model, right? Because it does a lot. You have these training tracks, and there's lots of very kind of different types of records that you have to do to kind of fill out the data model to really allow it to do all that it can do. But out of the box, what it does is it has a button that just says set up test data. And it actually creates 2 training journeys for you so that you can go through and see what data they populated to actually make the whole journey complete. So right out of the box, it gives you a really good idea of what you need to do to make it successful for your company. Again, I really like the badging part of it. So it takes kind of your boring wiki content and you can put it in here and kind of make it exciting for your users, right? And show them a path to attain a certain skill within your company. The other part that I really like about it is it has quizzes. So it's really cool to say, yeah, I read that content.
But did you pass?
Right. How do I know that you did? How do I know that you read that or that you really know that, right? So what you can do is you can actually do quizzing based on these things and have the attainment based on a successful score on the quiz, right? Again, very cool app, free, very cool user experience. I think it's one that really every company could use. And just one of the reasons I think it's so cool is because there are learning management apps out there. You guys heard of Cornerstone? Huge company, right? It's not a cheap solution. Now maybe for big companies they can afford that, but most of us can't, right? And this is a very good alternative for that. I'm sorry if there's anybody from Cornerstone in here. Okay, so our last app is actually not an app. Uh-oh, that's good up there. Okay, so the last app is the Lightning Component Exchange. So who has heard of Lightning? Okay, I think I saw everybody's hand. Good. You really haven't been paying attention if you haven't heard of Lightning. So there's actually a whole new section of the AppExchange now called the Lightning Component Exchange. And you've heard it probably mentioned in the keynote, you maybe heard it mentioned in other places, but I wanted to call it out here because it's kind of a big deal. Prior to now, the AppExchange has really been split into apps and companies. Is that the way you would term it, Amanda? Consultants, right? You've always been able to find those things there. But now there's a separate dedicated section just for Lightning components. And there are about 50 plus components out there right now. This helps those things not get lost kind of in the fray with the rest of the apps, right? So if you're going and looking just for Lightning components, there's an easy way for you to find that. One of the really great things about that is right now 96% of the components out there are absolutely free. So you can do that from the Lightning Builder. You can go to the AppExchange and find those. But either way, again, something really cool that is the future of Salesforce, right? This is how Salesforce is going to work. So you see down there on the left, bottom left, that is the Lightning App Builder. So like I mentioned, you can find components that way. So what that does is it actually looks at the Lightning Component Exchange to surface components for you to pull into your pages. And then there on the right are a couple kind of example components that are out there on the Component Exchange. So there's a timer, That one in the bottom middle is a kind of an instant call app, and then there's a currency exchange rate one out there. Again, just some very small samples of ones that are out there. And I think even for me, I've been doing Salesforce for a long time, it's kind of hard to get my head wrapped around components and why would I use components and what's a good component and how would I use them. But if you go to the component exchange, you start to see some of the ones out there, and I think it really starts to kind of open up the possibilities of, oh, they built a component for this. I could, what about this? I have this similar situation, So I think it really, just looking at, there's not that many. You can look at 50 and kind of get a good idea for what's out there. And if you're a developer, there's a ton of possibility for building these components for what, again, is going to be the future of how Salesforce works. So what is the component exchange? Yay! All right, somebody listen. So most of them are free. New UIs, right? Get up to speed on Lightning. Don't go back and say, we're probably not going to use this. I highly, highly recommend getting up to speed with it now, even if you're not ready to use it yet, because it will continue to expand and grow, and it will be the way Salesforce works. So those are all of the apps that I wanted to go through. Wanted to thank you all for hanging in with us and not jetting out of here after only they won the $100 gift cards. So I think we pretty much kept the whole audience. So thank you all very much.